enough to knock me out, but I'm still holding the throne. You'll never know till it's over. So pretty it hurts. Just
hello YouTube. I've been wanting to do this for a while, so this is about Lieutenant Atkinson's death in 1975. So if you're interested in prison content, and especially the walls and all that, Missouri State Penitentiary, then subscribe and share this. This is just an educational thing. It's not a message or anything. I mean, I guess you could get a message out of it, but it's mainly just a story from different views. 1975, January 20th. Warden Wyrick was, his name was Donald Wyrick, was the warden of the Missouri State Penitentiary at that time. He had one time told the prisoners there, I know that fights and stabbings and stuff was going to happen among you guys, but you put your hands on one of my officers and you will die. This has come from ex-cons that have heard him say this. Now, Jay Walker did time back then, and this is, I'm going to do his version of it first, because frankly I believe his version. And I'm going to add some things in there that the official thing says too, because just to fill in. But he was killed in G Hall. G Hall is what they call 2 House now. He was in what was, see if I got it here, what is now 2B, or what was later became 2B 296. That's where they found him, the cell they found him in. But he, G Hall was used to house the troublemakers. I guess if you caused a lot of trouble and everything, that's where they put you, you know. Bunch of bad dudes over there. And Jay says the day he was killed, he walked past my cell, and 5 cells down, he was confronted by 3 black dudes that had got the Walkmen to open their doors. You gotta understand that back in those times, they had prisoners opening and shutting the doors. By the time I got there, it was guards doing it. But back then, they had prisoners doing it. I don't know what they was doing, but they grabbed the lieutenant. You know, he was a quiet walker, didn't make a lot of noise. They grabbed the lieutenant. The struggle only lasted a couple minutes. They rammed his head into the bars. They stabbed him several times and put him under a bunk in an empty cell. About 2 hours later, it was mainlined to chow, and everyone knew about it except for the guards. When Atkinson did not sign out, the search began, and when they found him, shit hit the fan. Any ex-con is going to believe this. Other people may not. The beating on all the blacks lasted until about midnight. It was a night of horror at the walls. The goon squad worked shifts and wore themselves out beating the black inmates. The floor was covered in blood, hair, and some teeth from the beatings. No white guys were beaten or questioned. The captain did come around with the Cole County DA and offered us 3 white dudes on the walk a deal. Signed the paper and go that night to the local jail and home the next day on paper. None of us signed. All we said was that we had seen nothing. That's prison. That's also a true convict. How many people would have not said something just so they could get out? You know, would you have said something to get out? You gonna get out the next day? But it says, because I went on the internet and looked this up, and this is what I found. After Lieutenant Atkinson had failed to turn in his radio, a search was conducted for him. His body was found several hours later in a cell bunk. And in the parentheses it says 2B296 with 69 stab wounds. 2 inmates were convicted of the murder and sentenced to 99 years in prison. Lieutenant Atkinson was a 24-year veteran of the Missouri Department of Corrections and was 61 years old. He was scheduled to retire that April. So he was killed January 20th, 1975, and he was scheduled to retire in that April. That's sad. Now, even according to Jay was one of those true convicts. Didn't like the guards and none of that, even though there were some good ones. And he said Lieutenant Atkinson did not seem that bad of a person. Another thing says after they found the body, inmates were interviewed by investigators for several hours. Interviewed by several hours is what Jay's talking about when they was beaten. I saw this thing where Jackson versus the state versus Jackson, I believe is what it was, and he was Jackson was claiming that he was beaten and kicked and interviewed and interrogated several times. And Jackson said that he was interviewed 3 times at first. At the 3rd interview, he implicated himself in the murder. That's what the state's saying. An attempt was made at recording, but the operator of the machine failed to press one of the buttons. So, they have no audio. Jackson claimed he had been beaten and kicked by Captain Jack Stewart and Lieutenant Lortz. He signed a waiver of rights because he feared for his life. All in all, he was interrogated 6 times until, and he said, and finally until his will was broken and he confessed. It doesn't matter if he was guilty of it or innocent of it, really. You know, the beating and the kicking and all that. If you believe Jackson is wrong. It's kind of funny that they said the recording button wouldn't come on. That kind of makes me think they were beating him. You know, the operator, what does it say? The operator of the machine failed to press one of the buttons to record the confession. I'm going to try to have some photos of Lieutenant Atkinson and Warden Wyrick. The pictures I've seen of Wyrick, he's that skinny guy, you know, look like a kind of little guy. And one of them shows him like in the music room or something. But these things happen all the time at the Missouri State Penitentiary. I can't speak after 93 because I wasn't there after 93. I heard they put cameras up everywhere and it was different, you know. But I do know when I was there, nothing like what Jay described happened. But the goon squad did come in and tear the whole place up. And especially if somebody had a lawsuit against the state, they really got it. Legal work was thrown away outside. It was raining hard, so they just They took it outside, and they said, "Oh, we didn't know it was going to rain," but it was raining when they took it outside. For 3 days, they searched every little part of the prison they could. But there was a in the chow hall one time. There was this sign that says "No hats allowed in the dining hall," and I seen this officer wearing a hat, and I said, "Hey," it says "No hats in the dining hall." Well, he gets mad and he says, "You want me to take you to 5C?" Anybody else hearing that outside the walls would think, "Oh, he's asking me if he wants to be taken to the hole, if he wants to go to the hole." 5C was different. 5C was long-term whole time, you know. But when you first get down there, you have nothing, and you got to kind of earn it back. But they beat you. They used to put these phone books, for those of you who don't remember, they used to have these big thick you guys that don't know, have these big thick phone books with phone numbers in them from everywhere. But I'm just kidding with you. But they would lay these, you know, you'd be shackled and they'd take you in a cell, and they put these phone books on you and beat you with these nightsticks and these big mag looking like real long handles, but mostly with nightsticks. Sorry about that. Anyway, they'd beat you with these nightsticks. So when he was asking me if I wanted to go to 5C, really what he was saying was, "You want me to take you to 5C and beat you with a nightstick?" That's what he was saying. And so this stuff used to happen all the time at the walls, you know. And there's one guard, not guard, he's Lieutenant Auden, Auden, that used to like to fight everybody, including the guards. He didn't care who it was. He wanted to fight. It's just, I always think it's the place that made people like that. You know, it changes you. And I ain't talking, you know, prison, any prison changes anybody. That's what I'm saying. There's just something different about this one, you know. Anyway, that's all I got for you. I hope you enjoyed this. Give me your thoughts and comments on this. Jay, I'm sure you're going to have a few words to say, so I look forward to reading that. And thank you for your time. Appreciate you. Bye.